Okay, welcome back. So we discussed the big picture on your journey towards solutions. Now, one of the most exciting developments at the moment is really AI and robotics. And they will revolutionize our economies. To me, this is really truly the most exciting thing that has happened for a long time. And maybe in 100 years, we will look back and say in the 2020s, this is really when the service revolution started. So why am I saying that? You think back, the Industrial Revolution was at the late 18th century. So that Industrial Revolution gave us high quality, low cost, mass manufactured products. Right? Today, you can get beautiful leather bags, beautiful clothes, beautiful equipment for very little money, which you can earn in a few hours of work. You earn enough to buy those fantastic goods. So before the Industrial Revolution, you had to work forever to get a leather bag, and you kept this leather bag for your whole life, right? So these are mass manufactured goods. Of course, we still have the Louis Vuitton handcrafted leather goods and so on, but they're extremely expensive and you buy them for different reasons. But the bulk of our economies is really high quality, low cost, mass manufactured goods. Now, the service sector has always been hampered by low productivity. You go to the hairdresser, you go to a restaurant, tons of labor involved. You go to the doctor, you go for a lecture, there's tons of labor involved, right? So what I think is now what's happening is the technology is coming together that we will get the same development we had in manufactured goods, that we will get the same now for service. That's why I'm talking about industrialization of service. Why is this happening? Because the technology is all coming together. All the technology is getting cheaper, smaller, more powerful, right? We have robotics, sensors, biometrics, speech processing, geotagging, mobile, Internet of Things, cloud. It's just everything is coming together now, enabling us to mass manufacture services at top-notch quality at a very low cost. I mean, I mentioned in our first session call center services. I promise you in 5 years' time, most of us will not anymore go at FAQs on a website or hang on the telephone to talk to an agent. We'll just click on a website and we are directly talking to an AI on the website. And that AI will understand German accent, Chinese accent, American accent. It speaks all languages, right? At Changi Airport, there's an information counter at every level, at every terminal. Information counter needs a lot of space and a lot of headcount and is expensive. I promise you in 5 years you have every 50 meters a holograph. Will be a nice lady or a nice man will be standing there as a holograph. This person will be able to speak 20 different languages with you. And you have any question, they will answer, oh, where's the toilet, where's check-in, where's duty-free? They will be able to tell you, where can I buy Louis Vuitton, right? So, and why? Actually, it will be very cheap to provide. The cost is only in the development. But as I said, I can really, cameras, speech recognition, all this technology is getting so cheap, so fast, and so good, so quickly, right? That all I need to offer the service is maybe a few $100s of equipment. I need a beamer, I need a microphone, I need a speaker, and I need to be connected. That's it. And the nice thing is I can beam this every 50 meters. So you as a customer, you have access all the time and everywhere. And if it gets very crowded, guess what? They don't take any space. You can push through a holograph, no problem. Yeah? So these are just some sort of suggestions where currently it is expensive to provide the service, but going forward, these types of services will be high quality, low cost. And this is all AI and robotics. And people always think robotics is a physical robot. But to me, hey, if I have what I call intangible actions, so this is sort of in service, I can have tangible actions, I move something, I provide you a meal, I carry a luggage, so I do something physical, I cut your hair, right? So for this I need a physical robot. But most services are what we call intangible. Education is intangible, financial services is intangible, information is intangible. So for intangible services, I can deal with a virtual robot. I don't need a, so holograph is fine. Yeah, Alexa is fine. Yeah, it's just it's an AI. And these services can be either targeted as a person, so chatbot, voice-based, video-based, holograph, right? Or it could be objects. I mean, who is the target of the service? Is this a person, a customer, or is this a thing, right? Is this my car? Is this my whatever? So these virtual robots are incredibly scalable, right? If I deliver a retail solution in a, let's say I am Sony, I am Samsung, I want to have a sales promoter in every single shop. Why do I put a person in there? A holograph will know so much more about the product, will be able to address you in any language, in 20 different languages. So if you live if you're in New York and there is a Samsung sales assistant retail solution, that person speaks Mexican and Chinese and French and German and knows everything about this product. So I hope you can see where we're going with this kind of service here. So I just need the virtual service, which, I mean, holographs probably will be very common. They're playing around with professors as holographs. So now you watch me on a video, right? In 3 years, in 5 years, you put your phone there and I come out, I beam out like Genie. Yeah? So there will be a real, you can interact in a real way with someone, and if this is an AI, it will respond to you directly and discuss with you directly, or discuss with the study group, right? So tangible options, right? Of course, if I move things, then or touch things, I need to have a physical robot. But even physical robots, they are becoming so much better every few months. And currently, physical robot prices decline by about 10% per annum. So they're getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. And as I said, the Olympics in Tokyo, Japan was so keen to showcase its robot technology. Japan is one of the leading countries in terms of deploying robotics in service. The Hannah Hotel in my textbook, at least the English version, there's on the cover is the Hannah Hotel, which was the first robot operated hotel. And at the Olympics, again, Mitsui Bank, they discussed we will have Chinese and American and Spanish tourists come to us and might tell us don't speak any other language but Japanese. So do I train my frontline staff to speak English? And they said it's too expensive and too ineffective, so they went to Honda to buy a robot from Honda, and this robot speaks 20 different languages perfectly, and they feed it through the chatbot, meaning you want to know how to cash money, how to cash a traveler check, how to send money, the chatbot, the robot knows all of that. And even if the robot doesn't know, it can work as an interpreter to your frontline people. Right? So you can see where we are going with this, and that's moving really, really fast. And it has big implications on service, because my prediction is a bit like ATMs, right? Automatic teller machines. Today, every bank uses ATMs for 90.999% of all cash transactions. And guess what? All the banks' ATMs are the same. They are all delivered by the same vendors. No bank differentiates on its ATMs. They just buy them. And I think currently customer service is seen by many still as a differentiator. I'm better in my service, my frontline is better, right? But if the bulk of your services, if 99% of all your transactions are going to be delivered by robots, AI, chatbots, holographs, you are likely to buy them, not now, but in 5 to 10 years, you are likely to buy them from a retail solution provider. It's a company that only does robots for retail solutions. Or a call center AI provider. Already is coming, right? It's already there. So that means you can't differentiate on this anymore. You're buying it. There's economies of scale. It will benefit the really big companies. The small companies will have a harder time, right? So again, on terms of competitive positioning, you have to think very hard. What is it I own that allows me to capture value, right? Now, where will robots come? And here we looked at this. What will be robot delivered? And you can see we have very simple and complex cognitive analytical tasks, and all of that robots will outperform people, right? Will be robot delivered. Now we have emotional, social, so simple and complex. So the simple emotion, we call this surface acting. So they're smiling, they're friendly to you. They say, oh, I'm so sorry, or whatever, right? Robots can do that. And we as people, we relate to things many times as if they were human. So you have a beautiful robot lady or a handsome robot guy serving you. It's great fun to interact with them, right? So for simple emotional services, like you buy a ticket, you buy a pair of shoes, this all will be robot delivered. If it becomes complex emotional and social tasks, then for the foreseeable future, we don't think this will be robot delivered. This will be people. So high stress situations in healthcare, running a high energy meeting or discussion. Robots will not be able to do this for some time. So this will be mostly people. So even in tourism and leisure, a lot of the adventure kind of thing and so on, people prefer to have people there. So this will still be where people are there. Now, however, when it gets cognitive analytical complex and emotional complex, like healthcare, right? Like consulting, tax advice, architecture, and those kind of things, we think it will really be robot, AI, and human teams who will be the predominant delivery mechanism of those services. I think it was 2 years back that an AI compete against the world's leading dermatologists. The task was they showed them pictures of moles, so skin moles, and asked them, is this cancerous or is this benign? So is this not cancerous or cancerous? And they asked these were old photos, so they knew whether or not a mole had become cancerous or not. So they could tell. So who do you guess performed better? The world's leading dermatologists or the AI? Yeah, and the interesting thing was AI outperformed the world leading dermatologists. So can you imagine how a general practitioner performs against AI? So if you go to a doctor and the doctor sees a mole, and can the doctor identify this as cancerous or not? Right? So of course the AI will be so much better. I promise you in 10 years from now, if you go to a doctor in America and there's a standard healthcare solution for this, let's say a mole today, you can take a photo, upload it, and it comes back to you with an assessment from the AI. If a doctor didn't do that, they can be sued for malpractice. So it will become very standard operating procedure to use AI support. And think about this. I mean, there's so many illnesses, they happen 1 in 10,000 times. Many illnesses, let's say people travel the world today, so you bring something home which is very exotic, never happens in your own country. How is your doctor going to identify that? They wouldn't know. But with AI support, you put in all the symptoms and the AI will come back. It could be this disease at 99% probability, or that disease has 95% probability. So if the top disease is something that only happens in Russia, then the doctor can ask the patient, have you been to Russia? Have you been in contact with people from Russia? Have you been in contact with people who came back from Russia? So you see, then the doctor can work down the probabilities of what the AI suggests and identify the most common one. So this is really where the AI and the doctor then work together to do the diagnosis. And this is for many services that are quite complicated here, where this will happen. Now you may ask, so what is the difference here to these robots and let's say an ATM or self-service technology? And the exciting thing is that an ATM or the current self-service technologies are very dumb. In a way, if you don't know how to operate it, it doesn't work. So I travel a lot to France nowadays. My wife is based in France. I don't speak much French. So I have to buy tickets, I have to withdraw money, and all the machines in France only speak French. So I make mistakes. So what happens is I don't get the service, right? I get the wrong ticket, or I don't get my money or something, right? What we say, a robot, on the other hand, is what we call customer error tolerant. Meaning, although you don't do the right thing, the AI recognizes what you're doing and can guide you. Oh, sir, do you need a one-way ticket or return ticket? Do you have a concession or whatever card? So they can prompt you and guide you through the process, where self-service technology, if you press the wrong button, you press the wrong button and that's it. A robot will be able to work with you and guide you. And as I said, this error, we call it customer error tolerant. So there's a huge quantum leap in quality and in productivity for robot AI delivered service. The thing is, people always ask is, don't you prefer talking to a person? Do you want to really be served by a robot? And what about the personal touch? What about the emotions and the connections? And I always look at them, let them talk, and then I ask them, so do you use the human teller or the ATM? They all use the ATM. They ask, why do you use the ATM? Oh, it's faster, it's everywhere, it's 24 hours. And this will be the same with all the other services. You don't really want to talk to the company, you don't want to talk to the person, you want the outcome, right? I want to know, when does the next train depart? Why should I queue for the information counter if your AI can tell me the same thing on the spot? Right? So for many of these services, they will be available just like this. So if you think, hey, customers are not going to adopt it, if you develop it right, just think about ATM. This is a service. When it was introduced, many customers didn't want to use it initially. And what Citibank did, I still remember, in New York, first ATMs, people didn't use them, they still went to the counter again. So Citibank put very pretty ladies in front of the ATM, and then the next customer came, hey sir, can I show you how this new machine works? And this is how they launched ATMs. And today, everyone uses ATMs. And I think AI, robot-delivered service, for most of these simple processes here will just be the same. Now, this gives you some explanation here. You can read this here on what the robots do in these cells. Now there's also a little bit on getting there, what tasks will be automated here with robotics. And you can see, depending on how many different tasks are involved in a job, the more homogeneous, the more similar, and the higher the frequency or the volume is, the more likely I can use a robot to do it already now, right? Only if the volume is very low and if each time is different, let's say if I'm the handyman in a hotel and I have to change light bulbs, I have to fix door locks, I have to fix a carpet here, this handyman has a safe job. It's not going to for a long time that a robot will be able to do all of these different low volume, very heterogeneous processes here. But stuff like room service, reservations, check-in, access to the gym and these things, hey, these happen all the time. There will be robotic solutions already or very fast, right? Now, we discussed a little bit, will customers adopt it? And here we have the service robot acceptance model. And you can see here, there's the functional part. So is it easy to use? Is it useful? And is it sort of the norm? Like ATMs are in this category. Everyone adopts ATM. Right, so the main thing is, does it give you a big advantage over the current way of getting this service? Take an AI that delivers telemedicine. So if you have a worry about a certain patch on the skin or anything, I promise you in 10 years you pay $10 and you go to a medical robot, an AI online, where you take a picture on your phone, you key in your symptoms, you speak in your symptoms, nobody keys in anymore, everyone will be all voice-based, right? And you get it back. So it's very easy, very useful, and many people will use it. Each time you're worried, now people Google on the internet. Then people will just ask the health doctor, yeah, the online doctor. And then, hey, are there social emotional elements? So do I need other people? Do I need real emotions? And here we talk about needs and role congruency, right? Yeah, it depends on the needs of customers. Some services, let's say you go on a whitewater rafting in New Zealand, you probably don't want to have a robot with you on the boat. You probably want to have someone else who can talk about this and that and have the joy and experience with you, right? But most services we have, actually our emotional needs are very low. Most services, whether transportation, communications, financial services, auditing, retailing, most of the stuff we don't really have strong social emotional needs. So it's only if this is an experiential type of service. Yeah, then trust and rapport. I mean, do I need trust and rapport to a person or can it be a robot? So for many times, I think this is where social norms will shift. Again, I look at Japan, where even today there is a lot of social emotional elements already in pet dogs and dolls people have in hospitals to help them through difficult times and so on. So emotions and so on will change. Okay, so you can see this is the customer acceptance. You can think about this here for any service. So this is the customer acceptance of robots. Now, robots, this is the big picture here, and I don't want to focus too much on it, but of course there is the individual company perspective here. The company, its customers, and its employees, the micro perspective. We discussed this a little bit on the customer side, the company side, and employees. Of course, I mean, employees will have to work in teams with robots and AIs, and we don't know yet how employees will feel if they get instructions from a robot or an AI. Right? So if the AI is so much smarter and better, it will tell people what to do. I mean, this is still ongoing research on the micro part. Market parts, our prediction is that our economies are reasonably competitive and have reasonably efficient markets. That means, like any other productivity gain, will be competed away and result in lower prices and higher standard of living, assuming at the society level that there will be enough income for everyone, right? I mean, if robots, AI take a lot of jobs away, and if this income is gone, then we have a problem, right? But these are quite big questions here. This is why now in some leading economies people talk about universal income, where everyone gets a basic lump sum to live on. But I think the fact is, over the next 10 years, millions of jobs will go. And we have to see on how we reskill and retool and develop our labor forces to deal with that. Yes, I mean, as I said, if somebody is a call center agent today, that job is very, very unsafe. We will need call center agents, but only very few and only for very, very difficult questions. All the standard stuff will be done by a bot, not by a person. And that bot will be voice activated.